1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Who would not have played the Ferrero Rocher music when they'd just been appointed literary ambassador to the Savoy? Woo! So tonight, to our 4 fantastic guests, we'll sneak through the secret garden and all the way back to Narnia as we rediscover the unique joys of childhood reading in Bookworm, the charming memoir from Lucy Mangan. I've never really liked Enid Blyton.
Oh, you're one of those.
That split the room, didn't it? I know I did. I've never.
But I think that's such a tribute to you, though. As I say, that some kids are
just... Oh my
just...
God, people are really not taking that news
really
very well. They're really struggling.
You've changed the mood of the room.
Yeah,
Barr.
I felt it.
You know, you've lost them.
Anyway, childhood is a story that we tell ourselves as children, and we tell ourselves it again as adults, but it's not always true, at least for the characters in A Keeper, the totally gripping new novel from Graham Norton. He did actually write it, I checked. I was wondering, did you write the past as one big bit and then the present, or did you write it the way it's structured? Where you
I wrote it the way it's structured. What I did was I blocked it. I blocked the past out because I knew what I wanted.
We've all done that. Just sorry. Yeah. We've all blocked the past out. It's fine.
Yes. Yeah, really. So I structured all that because I knew how that story would unfold. And then I knew what I wanted Elizabeth to find as it went along. But the thing I didn't know was what was going to happen in her life while she was on this voyage of discovery. And so, that's one of those lovely things. And when I've interviewed writers, they always do that, and then the characters took on a life of their own, and you think, oh, for fuck's sake. And there's a lot of old eye rolling, yeah. But of course, it's true. You're writing away, and you suddenly go, oh my God, I can't believe what's going to happen in 2 pages. This is brilliant. And there you go. And that's the pleasure of it. That's the joy of writing it.
Have you considered publishing not under your own name? Because you'd get away from all the Norton expectations.
You would, but I wouldn't have got a book deal. So, it's yin and yang. It's a balancy debate thing there, isn't it? Yeah. So, I thought on balance, better to go with the Norton, and hopefully have people pleasantly surprised.
From quintessentially Irish darkness to as dark and Gothic can be in Melmoth, the deliciously terrifying new novel from Sarah Perry.
In creative writing courses, they always tell you can't have a prologue. They can get bent. I'll have a prologue if I want one.
So Melmoth is she sees all the pain. She's like the anti-Oprah, basically.
Absolutely, yeah.
She sees all the pain. She does nothing about it.
Yeah.
Is she a ghost? I was, reading it, thinking, is she a ghost? Is she a legend? Is she a figment of people's imagination? Is she some of these things, all of these things? I mean, I want to talk about the nature of Melmoth.
Is she real?
Yeah.
Is it a supernatural horror novel? Is it a construct of the guilt that Helen Franklin is feeling? Is it an old legend which has gathered a certain amount of flesh and bones? What is it? And I'm really excited by the idea of readers coming to their own conclusions and then in some way having the rug sort of ripped out from underneath them. And I'm also really interested in a sort of secular world, how we deal with these questions of guilt and redemption. If we don't have a redeemer and no prospect of redemption, what do we do when we fail and when we transgress? Who is watching if there is no God who can see? So, it's a light evening.
How did you decide which of those darknesses to focus on, and how did you cope?
I was really struck by the concept of bearing witness, which is something that Primo Levi, who obviously wrote the first Holocaust survivor memoir, he said, you know, as long as someone is bearing witness, that's what he needed, because we can't make it better, but we can watch. We can have the courage to watch.
And finally, to send you all off laughing and whistling into the night, we return to childhood in Take Nothing With You, the hilarious, heartbreaking and tuneful new novel from Patrick Gale. I don't want to give too much away about what's happened to Eustace. Obviously, he's not a musician, for reasons.
Yeah, because when we first meet him, he's a recovering banker.
Yes.
We know he's
very,
come out the other side.
We won't talk about why he gave up his music just yet. But why did you wait until you were 40 to pick a cello back up?
I wasn't good enough.
You weren't.
I had a similar moment to the one Eustace has when
Right.
a wonderful teacher said, "You're good enough that this will be with you all your life, and it will give you succour and whatever, but do not take it any further. If you think you're going to be a professional, do not, because that way lies madness, and you'll end up on the scrap heap." Nowadays, we raise our children without boredom, and I think my generation was really lucky. We had incredibly boring summer holidays, and I'm a great believer that boredom gives rise to creativity. And I think if you grow up in a shit town where there's nothing to do but hang around on your bike and mooch, or maybe read a book, you stand far more chance of those creative connections happening in your brain because you have to make your own fun. Yeah. I think we fret far too much now about keeping children occupied. They need to be allowed to mooch. To mooch. Yeah. Please join me in thanking Patrick Gale. And Lucy Mangan, come back up to the stage, and Graham Norton back up on the stage, and Singer Perry back up on the stage. Thank you all for being here.